As in your opening remarks, you have already outlined, it is under the Constitution, Article 149. It confers the powers and responsibilities of audit on the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. It spells out that, as may be prescribed by the law by Parliament, the performance of duties and exercise of powers will be regulated. So accordingly, we draw our power from the constitutional provision as well as from the duties, powers and the Conditions of Services Act passed by the Parliament. And under these acts, we have also our own regulations which is revised from time to time. On that basis, we do. Broadly speaking, as you have pointed out in the beginning, we certify the accounts. We see the compliance of the rules and regulations and the standards of accounting, and also the performance also in due course of time. This has also been added. Value for money audit, that is performance audit, also is being taken up by the C&AG. So overall, not only see the accounts of the government, it is both union and the states, also or the local governments. Also we see the public sector undertakings and their performance also we audit. Currently, we have certain subjects which have been taken up, which affects the population at large in the pan-India basis. Particularly, we are seeing the programs like, Ayushman Bharat, also the Prime Minister's Awas Yojana, also which is affecting the poorer section of the people, like the scholarship schemes, and also health infrastructure and the health management issues also. Apart from that, we prepare every year annual plan for the audit. Every state, they come out with a number of topics for conducting performance audit along with the compliance audit of certain subjects. Of course, the finalization of finance and appropriation accounts and the SFAR are mandatory. They are done mandatorily every year. But certain topics which have got large impact or the risk is involved, looking to the risk parameter, we select such topics also. The Constitution of India, which has provided the institution of as a supreme audit institution, the CAG's organization is insulated from this kind of pressures. Hardly such any pressure come on us. In fact, the governments and the many ministries and departments, they request us to carry out certain audit for certain subjects or certain topics or the programs they themselves. So I have not come across that kind of pressure. We are functioning independently as envisaged in the Constitution. We get these kind of instances which are an exception rather than a general practice. Mostly the ministries, departments, governments and the functionaries, they are very cooperative and they are very proactive in providing the records. In some cases, in particular circumstances, this kind of things happen, and we have certain mechanism apart from persuasion and kind of taking up with the authorities, the ministries. Under the regulation, we can escalate this kind of non-cooperation or the non-production of records to the higher ups in the administration as well as to the legislature. So those rare cases where this kind of things happen, we handle differently. looking to the exigencies and the local conditions and the circumstances. Normally, we get all the cooperation. Yes, sometimes due to the exigencies, certain information are delayed or some kind, we raise certain queries. The replies comes little bit delayed. Otherwise, we are able to get the information. Of course, there has been some kind of an discussion among ourselves, and we were thinking that the current dispensation, when the RTI Act came, the individual can ask for the information from the authorities, and there is a time bound manner the information has to be provided to him. And in case of non giving up or supplying of information, he can approach the higher up on appeal. In such circumstance, perhaps this is an high time that some this kind of mechanism can be evolved. But right now, because of the cooperation, we don't see that kind of an a requirement immediately. Under the constitution, we are mandated to prepare the audited accounts and the reports, whatever reports we prepare, and submit it to the president or the governor, the case may be. And the governor or the president, they cause the reports to be placed before the legislature. Of course, in due course of time, these have been delegated to the ministries. So the all reports goes, and there are some local instances. Sometime it happens that reports are not being laid on time. Otherwise, mostly it is being laid. On the current situation, if I can tell you, around 24 reports out of we have almost finalized 162 reports, both the union government and the state government, are yet to be laid in the legislature. See, this is an opinion. As it is very clear from our constitutional mandate as well as the act under which we perform our duties and functions. It is very clear which are the aspects we are supposed to be seen. Normally, we deal with the rules, regulation, provisions which is prescribed by the government or the executive, or the policies framed by the government, or the laws made by the parliament or the legislature. Against that, we examine the performance of particular ministry or the department to see the legality, propriety, in some cases because of the procurement and other thing, the transparency aspects also. Subsequently, we are also seeing the economy, efficiency and the effectiveness, how the policies are becoming effective or not so effective, or how efficiently it is being executed. So within that parameter we see, and whatever our reports come, they are all factual, supported with evidentiary documents and supporting documents. Last level, including vouchers and the invoices, and whenever the accounting things are coming, we see everything. So we don't, in my mind, there is any way that we are going beyond the mandate. It is all within the mandate. So I don't see that this kind of allegations or the opinion has any bias. It is, of course, it is just an opinion if anybody has got this kind of opinion.
Or
This is again another kind of an issues recently being discussed. I think we have on an average 150 reports we prepare every year, including the state report and the union government report. During the COVID period, also, barring 2-3 years, we had a problem. In the beginning of the first wave of COVID and the second wave of COVID, we had that kind of setback. But I am very happy to say that during the COVID also, we have performed well as a frontline, department. We have been proactive in handling the situation like other frontline worker during this time. We could see that our people are vaccinated, and they, including their families, and also that's how we have been able to perform our duties so far the accounts and entitlements are concerned, like pensions and PF and also salaries and all those kind of, and the finalization of the accounts, etc. We have been very promptly able to do. Of course, the compliance and the performance audit also this year we have almost come back to the normal numbers. I think this is some kind of an unnecessary excuses or being circulated around. We carry out our functions in a different assumptions. Unlike the CBI and CBC, they have the function post occurrence of certain things. When something happens and there is some element of irregularities or some culpabilities there, then they come in, and we do a normal audit, the system audit, the process audit, and the veracity of the accounts and the accuracy, and so that we can assure the parliament or the legislature that these accounts are accurate, fair, and as per the rules prescribed by the government it is done. So this is part one. In case of performance and others, unless there is certain glaring thing coming up with the evidence, we bring out and we give an recommendations only to rectify. We give a positive recommendation seeing the leakages or some kind of non-performance or some kind of inefficient performance, or the policies and have not been translated into the action properly. We bring out that kind of thing so that the executive can take corrective action, and also legislature can enforce the accountability of the executives. But how the responsibility will be fixed, that is left to the executives only. We only point out and we give the corrective recommendations. So it is up to them. So I feel it is just some kind of an rumor, I can say, or an excuse that otherwise also those who are not prone to take decision, they spread this kind of thing. I will come to a little bit of the background of the audit divas. As under the Government of India Act 1858, the consolidation of accounts from the all presidencies came, and the Government of India Finance Ministry, they brought out an notification how the budget should be prepared and the income and expenditure should be depicted. And this, the first time in the 16th November 1860, the CAG's institution came into being. So it is very old. So we thought of that in the 75th year of independence, this is a befitting time to celebrate Audit Divas, and we are very fortunate. The Honorable Prime Minister came and graced the occasion, and during his lecture or his address to our officers, which is telecast across the country, virtual mode, and those who are present also in our premises, all the officers who are there, and all other staff across the country are also connected, got benefit of the Prime Minister's vision and Prime Minister's idea of audit and the expectations. Also, he recognized our efforts and initiatives, what we are doing at new areas like audit of the SDGs, the natural resources accounting kind of a thing, and also use of technology like remote sensing and GPS technology to strengthen the audit and our training efforts, etc. This has translated into a multiplier effect in the states also. Subsequently, we had in all states, they did something kind of an audit week, where in Madhya Pradesh, the Chief Minister also came. In other places, other dignitaries also have come, and this has generated a lot of positive environment for us. As you asked me in the first question, some year that how the cooperation from the auditors are there. Definitely this is a good signal and we are getting good response also. So this is very encouraging for us and for our entire officers and the staff in the audit department. So this is how this is a very good occasion for us. As per the constitutional mandate, as it is a certification or seeing the accuracy and fairness of the government accounts, maybe the state or the union government. That was the original mandate, which was in the colonial era mandate. It was there. In due course of time, with the passage of the DPC Act and the regulations, and also different pronouncement of the courts, particularly Honorable Supreme Court in 2014, we got much more scope to go into the audit of this kind of institution also. Basically, wherever the public fund flows, whether directly or indirectly, we have some authority under the DPC Act to look into this kind of expenditure or also the resources where it is being used. Sometimes resources are used by the private people on the authority of the government, but normally they are out of the ambit of the public audit by the C&AG because they only draw the resources but they function separately. Similarly, there are certain grants flows to the parastatal kind of people, but they nevertheless fund flows. So we see the basic policies, rules and regulations and the parameters under which the ministry or the government is providing this kind of the fund, because public fund has to be accounted some year. So in that way we get into the audit, but directly this kind of situation is there where we don't have, in many places don't have that kind of an authority to go because they are private organizations, but we have got this kind of indirectly wherever the fund flows, wherever the contracts are there, how the contracts are being carried out and performance of the contract, etc., we can see. Public audit is an integral instrument of an public administration. It is definitely is adding to the good governance because it promotes accountability, propriety and the legality. See, the rules and regulations are properly implemented as prescribed by the executives or as the laws made by the legislature are literally or in spirit they are carried out. We give wherever the audit brings out, we bring out in our reports, and through different committees in the parliament or in the state government, the legislature enforces the accountability of the executives in this regard. That adds good governance, and because the performance audits or the value for money audit has been carried out, so it gives how the project schemes, programs are being executed and implemented. This is definitely leads to the improvement of administration, implementation of the schemes, projects, and also benefits the population at large. So that way we are here, as I said, that ours are corrective recommendations. It is not merely a fault finding mission what it is being depicted. It is a corrective systemic audit, and also to see that how the efficiency or the effectiveness of the government programs and the policies will come. So that's how it is an add to the administration and add to the executive performance. You are right. The government follows the cash-based accounting standards. Basically, it is the income and expenditure. The budget depicts this kind of a thing. It is not on the accrual basis or the double entry bookkeeping system. And mostly the globally, barring few, maybe the minuscule, this system is there. There is the cash-based accounting system is there. So it is mostly people say that it is prescribed for the internal monitoring of the ministries and the government, and nothing much has happened. So we had tried in 2002, I think, with our initiative, government appointed one government accounting standard board to look into. It is an multi-member committee drawing people from different ministries as well from the outside also, to see how the accounts can be improved. And as you said, the successive finance commissions also, particularly I think 12th finance commission had talked about the accrual based accounting system. Accordingly, the government accounting standard board prescribed few caste based accounting standards to the government. Out of them, few have been already implemented. Similarly, there are accounting standards for the PRIs. After the 73rd, 74th constitutional amendment, all those local bodies, the transferred activities took place. The certain ministries and the departments were transferred to the local level. So the accounting standards for the PRIs and for the municipalities and the municipal corporations were prescribed. Mostly in the municipalities, urban local bodies, it is the double entry bookkeeping system. But in the many places, it is the same cash-based accounting system. So these are constantly being reviewed, and we, as mandated in the Constitution, under Article 150, the formats of accounting has to be prescribed by the President or the Governor in consultation or after consultation with the C&AG. So we play a very crucial role, and we prepare this kind of standards. Also, we see the global practices. We are part of the global community of auditors. The Supreme Audit institutions are there. We have an international organization, the INTOSAI kind of a thing. So we see their accounting standard also. We also try to follow certain accounting standards. So this is an work in progress. So it goes on. As it is prescribed under the law that the local bodies under the purview of the local government, the state government, so they are supposed to prescribe the standards and of not accounting, basically of the paraphernalia for the auditing. But fortunately, we have, because of the DPC Act and the various MOUs we have signed with the various state governments, we have the authority to handhold the local fund examiners or the local fund auditors, every state has, to strengthen them, supervise their activities. And very recently we have taken it up. During the audit divas, we had a very big seminar, and in our audit advisory board, we have constituted with the eminent people from outside, with their suggestion, with their help. We have taken an initiative to carry out very wide scale consultation with the stakeholders, state governments, and see that the accounting standards are maintained and how to strengthen their accounting activities. We are trying to brainstorm, because panchayats are not so well to do, and they are both in terms of fund and in terms of manpower, they are not so very happy position. In such situation, how to carry out their audit, we are prescribing. And also we are conducting this year throughout the country certain local bodies, including urban and the rural local bodies audit. We are taking it up along with the DELPAS, that is the Department of Local Fund Auditors. Recently, we had in 2020-21, we had taken up some restructuring kind of an initiative, aligning with the vertical, whatever situation, or the, you can say, the vertical alignment of the departments and the ministries, we try to align our audit team also accordingly. So we saw to that there will be, sectoral kind of a thing, like general and social services ministries are clubbed together, and the economic sectors or the infrastructure or energy sector, they are clubbed together, along with their other boards and corporations should also be clubbed together, so that the overall picture comes. If somebody else does an audit of the PSU or the board under a particular ministry, and ministry is done by another team, then there will be, overall picture will not come out. So accordingly we try to vertically align. So in keeping up the time and looking into the now IT revolution, most of the government functions are, now been transiting to the IT platform, especially the DBTs, and also the public finance management tools which the CGA, the Comptroller General of Accounts, does. These accountings, fund flow and resource flow, etc., are being done online. So we are also trying to synchronize with that kind of an audit. So we are also emphasizing on IT audit kind of a thing. Our office also, we have an inspection wing, entire vertical. They do both administrative audit as well as the technical audit of the particular office, how they are following the audit standards, audit practices, processes. That is one. Also we have got a peer review by the international audit bodies, particularly by a third country, some other countries audit, like a CAG organization, they can also look into our audit processes. Last such exercise was done in sometime in 2011-12. Now it is high time we are also preparing for that kind of peer audit from outside. So this, then the second part is how effective. As I said, we prepare accounts and appropriation accounts and the finance account, and regularly we give it, and it is regularly discussed in the parliament or the legislature. Also the compliance audits and the performance audits comes. Once it is placed in the parliament and the legislature, it comes to the public domain. It is put on the website also, and we are now trying to have some kind of an audit week, like the vigilance week, along with our audit divas, and to have a large scale consultation with the stakeholders, public at large, also the interested parties, to get how the effect is there and what kind of suggestions also they can give us to improve our audits, or the topics which we take up during our audit. We can also think of how to involve the public participation in identifying that kind of issues also. So far effect is there. Effectiveness, what is you are asking me, is that it is the executive, we are supposed to be accountable to the legislature. They take it seriously when it comes into the public domain, and when it is being discussed, it definitely get traction and the attention of the people. Apart from that, which are not discussed also, the action taken report are collected. All ministries, wherever such observations are there, the action taken reports are monitored in consultation with the CAG. So the ministries and departments, they have to take note of the audit objections or the audit suggestions and carry out whatever the corrective actions are there, and wherever it is not possible, they are supposed to give it back when it cannot be complied, or some modification required under the action taken report, which is monitored by the Ministry of Finance. Right now also there is some kind of consultation. Every state AG have their audit advisory board. It is constituted with the eminent people from the government and from the other organizations, and their suggestions are taken care. And also media also plays a role whenever certain issues come up. Also the individual, sometimes they also bring to the notice of the concerned AGs, and so they try to include in their annual audit plan all such topics which are publicly relevant, which have got risk is much risk is involved or much public importance is involved in that kind of topics are also selected. Now we are trying to formalize it through the audit divas to make it more broad based, so that apart from the stakeholders consultation, advisory boards suggestions, how we can involve the public and at large through seminars, through other activities, and also we are trying to publish the good practices or the things where our audit has brought out some process change, systemic change, or where the government have accepted certain recommendations and where it has resulted into the savings of the government money or the better efficient use of the money. That kind of topics are also now we are bringing out in the publication. So that way it should be able to reach the public.